All right, we are live and in living color. Welcome to another fantastic episode of This Week in Reselling, where I have a little help with my friends. I almost had it, guys.
Yeah,
I have a little help with my friends.
You never have it.
Yeah.
No.
Here we'll discuss the highs and lows of reselling and dive into great conversation. And we're positive that you're going to hear something that's going to help you become a better reseller. I'm your host, Ray. I'm joined with my co-host here. And Kristen the Real Squirrel is actually... She's out roaming the lands of, I don't even know where she is right now, but she couldn't make it today.
As she tends to do.
As she tends to do, exactly. But we're here, joined by two of the co-hosts. We have Brendan, Big Time Flips.
Hey, what's going on?
And we have Joe with I Flip That.
Oh, you got...
Are
you got
those
real
real
money this
$100 bills, Joe?
Yes, they are.
Joe's-
They are actually, I don't even know what you can see. Motion picture $100.
Oh, motion
Oh,
picture
no,
only.
no.
Yeah, there we go.
Love
There we
the
go.
Shane McMahon theme song.
Yeah, right.
That's right. Are you a wrestling fan, Tanner?
Man, my whole life.
Let's go. Well, myself and Brendan are huge wrestling fans, so we'll probably, sorry
I'm trying
guys,
to get
if you're
back
listening to
into
this,
it.
we'll try not to talk too much about wrestling. So we'll get into that. But guys, we have two very special guests today. We have Britton and Tanner. And the reason, well, I put in some information here on ChatGPT, Britton and Tanner. So we'll see if this intro sounds good. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of This Week in Reselling, where we have incredible guests joining us. Someone who is making waves in the world of custom apparel. He's the mastermind behind Shirt Farm, and a company that specializes in stunning all-over print tees that fans can't get enough of. Whether you're a reseller, collector, or just a fan of amazing designs, you're gonna love this conversation. Please welcome to the show Britton and Tanner.
What's
you
up?
go.
I don't have $100 bills, but here's mac and cheese. That's
Mac and
all.
cheese.
Oh,
Hey,
there's Ken.
yeah, we have
Yeah,
a friend
right.
named Ken. He's a huge mac and cheese connoisseur.
Ooh.
And he's all about the mac and cheese. But he says his favorite mac and cheese is the what is it? The Kraft,
It's the Crash Blue Box.
I don't know.
which we have.
Ken, when you see this, no, I'm revoking your mac and cheese card.
There you
That
go.
was no Gouda. Get
Ooh,
out.
No, hey, you got that? No Gouda.
No Gouda.
But
no Gouda.
guys, I really wanted to have Britton and Tanner on because, as you can see, I'm wearing one of their T-shirts, the Tarzan one. Shout out to Phil Collins.
True. He didn't have to go that hard on that soundtrack.
So hard. Phil Collins was so hard on that song. But I really wanted to have Britton and Tanner on just to kind of talk about their company called the Shirt Farm. And later on in the podcast, we're going to tell you how you guys can win one of these amazing all over print T-shirts. So stay tuned. Should we want to go ahead and tell them, Tanner or Britton, or should we make it a little bit of a tease?
Man, that's dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice.
His choice.
I think we need we'll listen a little longer and we'll tell you how you can win
Right,
these all over
right.
print
There
T-shirts.
you go.
But I wanted to have you guys on, but just because I think that, we talk about buying and selling stuff, but you guys actually have your own company. You design the shirts, you get them printed, and kind of like private label stuff, and have your own like store online. And I think that's super interesting. And I wanted to just kind of dig deeper into what is the Shirt Farm and how you guys came up with the idea and just the process of just all the process. Cause I know that as us, we like to maybe, do one-offs of T-shirts and stuff that we like to make just to have as merch, but you guys have a whole deal. So I really want to get into that. And as you're talking, I'll bring up your guys' Instagram and just some of I'll bring it up right now. Just some of the designs that you guys have done. Of course, I'm wearing the Tarzan one myself. The new one that just dropped, the Batman one, is absolutely insane.
Thank you.
And we got cars, a lot of Disney inspired shirts. We got Spider-Man.
Yep. We actually go through and delete some of our older posts because
okay.
when the pre-orders are closed, we just, it's
That makes a
easier
lot
than
of
getting
sense.
messages and disappointing people. So
Yeah.
there isn't much on there right now, but I'll send you some photos and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll splice them in there for
Yeah.
sure. So what has been, I don't know, I'm like like fast forwarding a lot of things. What has been your favorite design that you guys have done?
Woo! Tanner, what about you? What's your favorite? You go first.
My favorite is the new Pokemon shirt that we have coming out.
All right. Yeah, I like the
That's gotta be my
Pokemon
number
one.
I mean,
I
Great.
think mine might be. We did a Robin Hood one, like the classic Disney
yeah.
Robin Hood, where the front it's all the archery scene, but the front is him firing, and the back you see the arrow splitting the target.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was really difficult to line up correctly because it actually stays on line all the way through. But it was fun. So I think, it was probably our worst selling design of our 45 drops. And
Really?
look, like Ken, sometimes the people are wrong. And that's okay.
True. Very true.
Huh. You think if you were, was that one of like your earlier shirts?
It was. I think it would do better now than it did then. But also, we really have a pretty specific demographic we figured out. So we are really firmly between 23 and 40-year-old men often.
As a 38-year-old man, I'm right in
Hey,
in there, baby.
There you go, Beth. There you go.
Joe is too.
And so because of that, I think there just isn't as much love for the old Robin Hood as I thought there was. Or the design's not as good as I think it is, which is totally possible. But,
Okay.
Who knows?
What has been your best-selling shirt? I think I can guess, but I just want to...
You guess. Tell me which one you think.
I would think it would be the Powerline shirt.
It was the power line. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So our average drops, we sell 100 to 150 of most designs. For context, power line, we are at 700, I think.
That's
There you go.
crazy.
There you go.
And number 2 is like 300. So power line's not number 1. It is like with a bullet, number 1.
Does Ray have it?
I was going to say, if you have it,
You have it?
I can grab one.
So how often do you guys drop? Like
Every Thursday. So
every
have
Thursday? Oh,
Thursday.
okay.
Yes, he does have it. There we go.
Oh yeah, I have seen that. Now I've seen him wear that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
There you go, Ray.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's fire. I like that.
Thanks, man.
Details, though. Look at the details. See got Roxanne and the oh my gosh. For
It
the
keeps
people that are
folding
listening.
right where you're trying to. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
There you
Oh,
go.
in the glasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Glasses.
yeah. Okay.
it's my favorite part of that design.
Yeah.
And the glasses. Yeah.
So
Here's
yeah,
the thing.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Ray.
Britton, Joe has never seen the Goofy movie down here. And I want to. I'm keep trying to tell him you need to watch
I'm in
the
my
Goofy
50s.
movie.
That's
You should be suspended just for that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go.
At risk of being kicked out of the Disney community, I rewatched it for making this shirt.
Uh-huh.
If you don't have the nostalgia for it,
I love the movie. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I love it.
no, I do have the nostalgia. I remember watching it growing up. I love it. But as a standalone piece, it's early Pixar. It is not. Let's just say.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
I think
That is
everybody that watched that or like grew up with that movie always wanted the pizza, like the stretchy.
Yeah.
pizza, like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a place in Miami. I forgot. I saw it on Instagram, and they have it. They're like, I think one of those '90s places tagged it. Like, I finally found the pizza from Goofy movie, and it legit the cheese was like would not break.
That's
and I was like,
amazing.
dude, I need that.
Yeah.
I would bring up the clip, but we'll probably get demonetized.
That's true.
Disney.
want that.
Yeah.
That design was a really interesting lesson for us. We dropped the first round of it December 12th, I think, mid-December. And it was Powerline was easily our most requested design ever. So we have people solicited or unsolicited, which we love. It just means people are excited about the brands. But we get DMs all the time, with specific films or shows or characters that people want to see our take on, which, is very kind. And Powerline was the one that we got 10 to 1. Like, it was so consistent on Powerline. And there is already a bunch of Powerline merch out there because people like Box Lunch or even Disney themselves, I think, have realized that is every 90s kid thinks it is the subtle 90s, no one else knows about it reference.
Yeah,
Everybody knows about it.
It's like the underground Disney movie.
Exactly.
Like if you know, you know. And then if you see somebody with a Powerline shirt, you're like, yes,
right.
You're my person.
Right.
You know, same thing. Like if you would see like an old school, like a very like a Blue Meanie T-shirt, like wrestling T-shirt, and you're like, whoa, okay, I see you. You know, like a very niche like fan would only know what it is.
You never see any like ECW merch ever. Like I feel like it's so rare.
It's
so rare.
And you got to think like how many low quantities that they were printing back then. Like, I mean, the wrestlers at the time were barely getting paid, so you can only imagine like there were probably 50 shirts in the entire venue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was gonna say Paul Heyman wasn't even paying the wrestlers every week, so they have merch, you know. But
Wrestling's the one with the gloves, right? Yeah, good.
Have you ever got any requests to do wrestling tees?
From this guy, mainly.
Yeah.
The closest we've ever gotten to actually doing one is I think we're going to cook up a Nacho Libre one pretty soon.
Oh, my gosh.
But, you
so
know,
dope.
I know that's not really, I mean, that's luchador. I don't.
Yeah.
All I know about
mean,
wrestling, I've learned from this guy. I am not.
Well, Britain right now is I would have said a year ago would be the best time to get into it, but now
right now,
Okay.
especially after last weekend.
Yeah.
The heel turn is crazy.
Yeah.
Is that why John Cena keeps getting tweeted about? Because he was
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He turned bad, Britain. A 20 years
22 years
storyline. 22 years storyline.
What a jerk.
What a jerk. Exactly.
Dude, there was kids on like people showing reels, like kids crying and shit like that. And I was like, man, it's our time now. It's been good.
Yeah.
It's been good for so long. You know, so
I'm just curious to see where that goes. But going back to Shirt Farm, give us the like origin story, like how it came to be. And I know that you guys are like still, you know, in the grassroots, but I'm telling you guys, like the quality of these shirts,
Thanks, Ben.
is like next to none.
Thank you.
Like they fit great, like they're heavy, like custom stitch tags, you know, like even the tags that come with them, like it's all quality, like 100%. So I just want to know like where the idea came from and just like the process. So for someone that's like listening at home and they're like, okay, even if they don't want to do like an all over t-shirt, you know, an AOP company, maybe if they just want to start like making their own brand and like just the process of finding a printer, finding like where to buy the t-shirts, like all that, like that's a lot. And like for you guys to actually like do it and like think of an idea and make it into like a concept, make it into like a website and, you know, like all that, like I know that you posted on your Instagram stories that your thermal printer like broke. So it's like one of those things, like you gotta deal with any of that stuff, all that stuff. So
maybe not.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. So I'll give you the, you know, try not to get too long with the story, and Tanner, jump in whenever in this. I know. So for me, my dad was a musician. So I grew up in Nashville, and I ran merch for him for years on tour growing up as a kid.
That's cool.
He was always the designer behind the shirts. And so I kind of grew up around music and apparel and the creative industry in different ways. And then in college, you know, had kind of taken a step back. I was a business major, so had gone down that route. But then right after school, really got hard back into sneakers. I had been a huge sneaker kid growing up. So the Osiris Supra.
Oh, wow. Skate sneakers.
Yeah, I remember I had a pair of Osiris Beat It Michael Jackson shoes that I wore into the ground.
Dude, my Osiris, I had like for years. Those things are lasted for a long time.
Yeah, dude.
Remember
Etnies, New York, all that kind of good stuff.
Do they even make the shoes like that anymore? Like the wide shoes with the big tongues?
They have started coming back as Y2K stuff starting to come back, but most of them stopped for a while.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so got back into that pretty hard.
Are these the shoes, Britton? These.
Yes, it was the red ones, but yeah, those were them.
Nice.
Man, I was so proud of those things. I'd tuck a little like $2 a change in the zipper pocket so I could get a soda. I thought I was so cool.
I wonder if these are worth any money.
To my heart, yes.
I'll look them up.
But I'm super into that. They got back into sneakers and really got pretty hard into vintage and flipping vintage shirts, crew necks, but mainly shirts. And Tanner actually was the owner of Quick Strike, which was Chattanooga's biggest vintage and sneaker store at the time. So we met through that. So Tanner would, deal a lot, and I don't want to talk for you, but deal a lot with vintage and sneakers and flipping streetwear. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Britton was just a customer, and our friendship kind of evolved from there. I mean, whenever you got a guy coming into your store every single week, sometimes every other day.
To my wife's chagrin, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Like our friendship only grew, and we kind of just, Britton started having the idea of wanting to really, take his own brand and elevate it and do his own thing there. So the first kind of experiment we tried, as an in-person, experience, was he put some Shirt Farm shirts in Quick Strike, and it was shoppable in person, and it sold out. And we kind of knew we had something right then and there, just from a design standpoint, and just knowing that our shirts stand out from your general T-shirt. It kind of just grew and took off from there, and snowballed.
And there were a couple other of our friends who were involved, Ryan and Rob and Kyle. Ryan actually came up with the name. Went from there. And the cool thing that we were able to, I think, tap into and are still trying to tap into, we're still, pretty new, growing, is this mashup rather between sneakerheads, vintage heads, people who are in the resale world, whether it's, sneakers, vintage, collectibles, that kind of group of people, and people who have a nostalgia for that 90s, early 1000s world. And so what's really interesting is our customers try to call them the farmers as often as we can. I forget about it.
I love that.
But they are really from two different worlds, and the two different worlds that kind of came together to birth who I am. So half of them are just people who like Disney and like going to the parks and want a cool nostalgic shirt. Half of them don't even care about Disney or 90s stuff that much, but want something that's going to match the newest drop, whether it's the Union Jordan 1s or, their Nike SB drop of the week or whatever it is.
They're trying to get the fit off.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really about 50-50. So we actually had a meetup at Disneyland 2 weekends ago. And the group that showed up, it was half diehard sneakerheads and half diehard Disney theme park.
Really?
And so it's kind of cool to see these two worlds that I'm my wife and I have been annual pass holders at Disney for years. Like I said, I've been into sneakers since they were chunky as all get out. And those two kind of coming together and seeing a community build between those two groups has been a lot of fun.
It's been awesome.
I would have never thought that was the sneakerheads buying the shirts.
Yeah. And we try to take some lessons from both of our experiences in resale and in sneakers and apply them here. So for instance, all of our shirts are individually numbered. And so that's something that we picked up from a trophy room drop, the trophy room 5s from the sneaker days. Because there's something about knowing like, oh, not only do I have a shirt from this limited drop, but I have shirt 183 from this one.
Mhm.
That as people are flipping them, because we have found some of our designs on eBay for $300-400 at this point, which is
wow.
Wow.
and so we love getting to kind of show off the individuality of it as well as the
69.
massive
169, Joe.
Yeah.
Out of how many is that? Like out of how many?
power lines out of 750, I think currently.
Okay.
And that's something we're trying to figure out in terms of like, we just started occasionally doing restocks. How do we honor the people who get in on the first run and not devalue what they're doing while also not gatekeeping and not allowing new people in? So we're trying to go
because you're trying to make money. So it's like, come, let print as much of it as you can,
Yeah, and like I love the limited thing, but yeah, exactly. Like at the end of the day, we are a business, and so like if 1,000 people want a thing, it's really hard to be like, no, but next time.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not me trying. Like what I don't want to do is sell 1 million of them, but like there's a line where it comes in. So we're experimenting with maybe trying to do a different color woven tag for restocks or something like that. That just
kind of like
say something like phase 2 or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
kind of like this, right? And with the Wings logo.
Man, I almost got those, but Tanner was kind
They're
enough
nice
for the new unions for me to hit. So I'm
Oh yeah, you got the unions?
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Okay.
But those are dope. That was my I love those as well, and I love that they have the Air Jordan stamp instead of like it's so cool.
The Wings logo.
Yeah.
I think our shirts work so well with a lot of sneakerheads just because, I mean, they're all over prints. The designs are usually just out there, and the colors especially are, very vibrant. And so I think it allows a lot of sneakerheads to easily be able to pair them up with a pair of shoes. And we've kind of, as a culture, it seems a little bit, we've gotten a little bit away from like necessarily like the matchy, like, oh, I've got a pair of Jordans on, let me wear a Jordan t-shirt. So it's like a lot of people just kind of want to have their own little lane of, how can I match and how can I make this fit, get off, but still have a uniqueness to it,
Yeah. And we've seen, what's been funny is we've seen a lot of families. I mean, a lot. We're still small, so I don't want to like exaggerate, how big we are. But in our ratios, a good amount of people who the mom or the dad is a big sneakerhead, but the whole family is going to Disney. And the rest of them don't care, but the other, whichever spouse it is like, I want to do some matching shirts. And they're like, oh, no, like, I don't want the, like.
Because they're so cheap. Like,
they're so cheap.
Yeah.
And so what they'll do is they'll buy either 4 of the same design from Shirt Farm because they're so loud that it kind of goes against the cheesiness of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll do, one of them will get our Buzz shirt, one of them will get our Woody shirt. And we all do kind of Pixar themed.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see that a good amount, which has been kind of cool. I mean, I'm the oldest of 9 kids, so like have a lot of those cheesy family photos, and it's cool seeing people get those. But
it's like Mama, Papa, and all the kids' names. Yeah.
The dad always has a shirt that's like, I effing hate that I'm here and spending money. And it's like, okay, that's going to age well, but enjoy that joke for now. Good job.
Are you one of the ones that had like the family all 9 and then like the shadow of the cat in the background? Like you know what I mean? Like the 80s
thing? No, but those are hilarious. That's where my dad being a touring musician came into play, is we got to avoid some of the all looking like we were members of the Duggars, but some of it's fun for sure.
I wanted to back up a little bit, Britton. So before you put your shirts into the to the sneaker store, like the idea, like Shirt Farm, like where you said your friend came up with the name, like what was the process of that? Like why the Shirt Farm?
So the idea started with getting heavy into vintage reselling.
Okay.
So I had a page, it was just called Britain VTG on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
that I started doing vintage flipping on, and started participating in some of the live streams on Instagram that are pretty big in the vintage world.
Even Whatnot occasionally.
Even
right?
Whatnot occasionally. And all of a sudden started picking up some pretty decent traction, which was awesome. I'm blessed to the team here at Shirt Farm. Most of us also work for a marketing firm together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that, there are resources and skills available to us that we put to use. Like Tanner's one of the best photographers you'll ever meet. He's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. So not the best. Don't get ahead of yourself. I'm kidding. But anyway, so we put a lot of that into the vintage stuff, and that isn't something that the vintage world was doing much of. It was a little more organic, a little more lo-fi, which is awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. It's super cool and it's authentic. But we kind of took a different approach to it. And so the page started growing pretty rapidly. Went from 400 followers to 8,000 in like 2 or 3 months. And started doing some crazy giveaways through the vintage page. So shirts that were worth $2,000 or $3,000 we'd give away for free.
And that was unheard of at the time. I mean,
Yeah.
it still even is kind of just crazy if it happens now, but
No one else is that stupid.
Yeah.
But we were that stupid.
Yeah.
What
What were the shirts?
We,
Like, could
a
you think of,
Nirvana
like-
heart-shaped box, heart-shaped box shirt.
Nice.
And then some Marvel shirts, Comic Images shirts that were worth quite a bit. But through that, we really fell in love, or at least I did. I don't want to speak for everyone else, but with Resurrection, which is a 90s bootleg vintage brand.
Okay.
And they were actually made in the 90s. It's not like current stuff that's supposed to look 90s.
Mhm.
And their color palette is some of the most insane stuff you'll ever see.
very unique.
Yeah, it's all like 2 Pantone tones off of what you would expect. So it doesn't look bootlegged, but it also doesn't look mass produced.
Like official. Yeah.
Yeah. And just fell in love with those and was like, you know what? It'd be cool to be able to make the things that in 20 or 30 years vintage resellers are seeing and flipping. And so kind of went from there, started specifically pretty early on when the vintage started growing, started driving it towards, and Tanner will tell you, I went to him and Kyle and Ryan and I was like, look, my goal with the vintage thing is to start our own brand with this. So I'm going to spend some money and lose some money on these giveaways, which lost quite a bit of money on the giveaways, probably 8 to 10 grand, I would guess, the first year. But did it intentionally to drive an audience for the brand so that I could swing one into the other.
And we all thought he was crazy whenever he was like, came up with this master plan.
And to be fair, I was, but
Yeah.
it happened to work by the skin of our chinny chin chin. So then put out our first shirt of our own. It was a Ghostface Scream shirt right around Halloween.
Nice.
And it was a Shirt Farm shirt.
And it was a Shirt Farm shirt. It was before we actually just got one of them. Someone had one from back in the day and offered it to us. I was like, yeah, we'll take it. We didn't even have the Shirt Farm name yet. So it had my Britain Vintage logo on the tag, completely different printer than we use now. But we're like, okay, we're going to make 70 of these. And I just was going to fund them out of my own pocket and see what happens with them.
Yeah.
Startup
cost.
Yeah. And put the design on Instagram on my vintage page and got 50 to 60 DMs in the first 4 hours with people being like, can I buy that now? Can I buy that now? And that's where kind of the marketing business side kicked in. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say no to a sale. Like if someone's offering you a sale, you close the sale. You don't defer it. Especially as I'm sure y'all know in the reseller world, people are fickle. So like they want to spend that $100. They are
right now.
today.
Yes.
What they're not going to do is say, oh, let me set a calendar reminder for next Friday and make sure that $100 lasts until then. Never. That will never happen. So we decided to just open pre-orders for Scream, and ended up moving about 200 on that first drop.
It was crazy.
And we're just off to the races from there.
Was that shirt in the sneaker shop too, or was it just from?
That was the one that was in there.
Okay.
Yep. So we ended up over ordering on the pre-orders a little bit to put like 10 or 15 in Quick Strike in a sneaker shop. At that point, by the time they were delivered, it was like the week before Halloween, which obviously is going to be when Scream's going to do the best.
Right.
Sold all of them in that week.
Yeah.
And so didn't want to push our luck restocking it at that point, but did know like we've got something on our hands, we think here.
Okay. So I know that there's probably been, like you said, you had like a different printer back then to the one that you use now, but like the process of like finding a blank, using it to print, finding a printer, because you're not printing these at home.
No,
like
this is where you need to decide how much of a therapy session you want this to become.
Come on. And then finding someone that's designing the shirts, because I guess initially you guys are coming up with the ideas, and then having somebody to just kind of, like you were saying with the Robin Hood, was one of the most complicated ones because the arrow actually went, around the shirt into the. So I'm just really curious of like what that process is, because, here's where the rubber meets the road with a lot of people, like our boy Ken, shout out to Ken.
I'm not ready to shout him out yet. We'll see.
But a lot of people are like idea people, right? Yeah. But then it's like when it's like, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to have. They're like, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. Like when you actually have to do the work,
right?
It gets hard, or it's like, man, this printer's not working out. They can't get it in here in time. I'm not finding the right t-shirt. I'm not finding the right tags that I want. And then it just kind of stops. So I'm just curious to what that process looked like for you. Because people are, like I have somebody else that I know that they have a clothing company. I don't know if Diet Starts Monday.
Dude, I've owned like 15 of their pieces.
Okay, so I've like Davin, like he's from Kentucky, and I've known him like when he started like doing his like bracelet company and is like moving on to like literally like a big brand.
Oh yeah, they're big.
Just so like like doing that, like that process is, I don't know, to me it's like it's so like down the road and in like untangible, you know what I mean? But I've known people that actually have done it. So just speak on that, because I think that's super interesting.
Yeah, so that is where truly, and I don't mean this like the whole Michael Scott, like my greatest flaw is that I care too much. But truly, that is where my greatest flaw comes in, is that I'm kind of the opposite, where I tend to run at something before stopping and thinking through the idea and the logistics and the wisdom of it.
That might be an ADHD trait. I don't know.
Yes. And my shrink says I'm one of the worst ADHD patients he has. So
okay.
Yeah, I am on mucho medication. So that is that for sure. And so I'm trying to think of how in depth we get on this.
As depth as you want to get.
Yeah, like for sure.
So okay, I'm going to leave out. Go ahead.
Here, as you're thinking of how in depth you're going to be, I do want to go ahead and pause with this. If you guys are listening to this or liking it, put down in the comment. Make sure to hit the like, hit the subscribe, all the good things. And so I'm going to give how you're going to win one of these amazing printed t-shirts. So this is what you need to do. Number one, first of all, you need to follow the Shirt Farm on Instagram, okay? Follow them on Instagram. I will be checking, okay? I will be checking. So follow them on Instagram, and then like this video, of course, and then in the comment section, I don't know. What do you think? I'll pick a random winner in the comment section. Joe, what do you think they should put down in the comment section? I was thinking favorite Disney movie, favorite I don't know, favorite food.
And you're
I
just
don't
going
know.
to pick a winner?
They need to pick
randomly. We will randomly pick a winner, but they have
Okay.
to make. They have to.
They have
Again,
to put their best
follow,
mac and
follow
cheese.
the Shirt Farm, like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and then they have to comment below.
Yes.
What did
There
you
you
say,
go.
Brendan?
So they have to put their favorite or the best mac and cheese in the comments.
I like it. Let's
There we go.
collectively teach Ken a much needed lesson.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, put your favorite mac
There
and
you go.
cheese in the comments. Is it, Chick-fil-A, Kraft, or wherever? Put it down in the comments. And then we'll pick a winner. I'll send you a DM, and then I'll get with Britton, and you get to pick out a shirt of your size on their website. So
Nice.
Cool.
So I will leave out the names to protect the not so innocent, but the answer to the question about sourcing is it's actually been a complete opportunity
Disaster.
for growth. Disaster. So our first printer we worked with came pretty highly recommended. What we didn't realize before we got into all of this is the all over printing, screen printing is something that most people in America do not have the machinery for. So we thought that wouldn't be a huge issue, and it is a massive issue.
It's nearly impossible to find somebody that wants to print or even can or have the ability to print this big or large in the States. It's so hard to find.
And the people who can tend to, it's like, oh, Hasbro is making their, or, is ACW still a thing?
Who?
Isn't that the wrestling? CWA?
AEW.
WWJD wrestling. If they were like, we want to make it all over print of Mr. Cena, then they will buy machines and do it in-house, but they're not farming that out to anyone. So there just wasn't a supplier. So we met someone in another country who, super cool guy, got to know him really well. We thought, spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on Zoom, middle of the night because of the time difference. And the first few drops went great. And then we started getting shorted 5 or 10 a drop. Like, they just wouldn't be in there. We were like, that's weird. Hey, man, heads up.
And then, they'll be in the next box.
And so it kept kind of compiling like that. And the problem is, each drop. So for a 100 shirt drop, let's just say, there are probably $5,000 to $6,000 of expenses in there overall. Like, they are very expensive to print. Even though our shirts are pricey, the margin isn't actually that good on them.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. I mean, come on, like, look all the way to the.
And it's all screen printed, so that's all manual. So they're all take a very long time to print. They can take 20 or 30 minutes a shirt to print. Like, it is a whole thing. So anyway, we were running pre-orders because we just didn't have that capital to invest up front. And so the problem is his fulfillment window was like 4 or 5 weeks. And so by the time we realized something was really wrong, we were pretty far along.
Yeah.
With money having been spent. So anyway, long story short, we ended up losing about $7,500 to him, just cash.
Ouch.
Because you never printed the T-shirts and never got delivered.
Correct. And
again, it's kind of one of those things where saying it out loud, it's like, well, how could you let that happen? But like Britton said, you're given these time slots of 4 or 5 weeks. This guy lives in a different country. So shipping takes time and production takes time. So naturally, things have to keep moving along. And the lies got a little better and better, and like I said,
I will say a lot of his family died.
Yeah.
Many members.
Oh,
Family died. Not actually. No, I don't think anyone actually got it.
Yeah.
So like whenever we were getting shorted, like I said, it would be, well, I'll put that in the next box. And then, that next box would come and the extras would be in there, but then we would get shorted something else. And then it snowballed. It was just, shorter and shorter and shorter. And then finally that next box never came.
Yeah.
And we just had no shirts.
So the thing that really, obviously the money sucks about that because that means we were working for, that was probably 4 months, our first 4 months. We started October 23. So that was still like March of last year. And, that means we didn't make any profit on it because that all went, that was all lost. And so then once we realized this has to stop, we met someone stateside who ran a pretty successful brand in our niche, who was starting her own printing company.
Wow.
And she had actually been screwed by the same guy we had.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the whole thing was I'm starting this so people don't get screwed over.
Yeah.
And that person knowing everything we went through, there was kind of, some, we were able to relate in that way and kind of both vent collectively.
Yeah. And I actually flew out to LA to meet her in person, make sure everything was on the level, did our due diligence, right? This brand had been going for 5 years. I was not happening again. No way.
Yeah.
Luckily, the thing we always try to say is we are a customer service and a quality brand that sells t-shirts. Those are the two things that are important to us. And so the customer service was able to get us a second chance with a lot of people who either their shipment had been delayed or lost or whatever. So we started with her, and the first few designs just took off, 200-300 shirts. And it was very different. She was giving us daily updates with photos, it was going great.
You're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
right.
And then all of a sudden it wasn't.
Oh no.
Oh man.
And so she made off with about 30 grand.
Oh.
Because the drops were so big that so anyway, all that to say, got burned. It's weird because, to your listeners, I'm sure people are listening being it's the same thing that happened twice. How'd they let it happen twice?
And
well, this was stateside, right?
It sounds so well, how did you not catch that? But again, these things have to keep moving. Orders have to keep getting, ordered for our customers, and production takes.
And we had become friends with her because, stateside, met her in person, did our due diligence. It was, although it ends up being the same result in hindsight, it was actually incredibly different, the process.
You guys want to give her a shout out just so
so badly, but I won't.
There might be some litigation somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so that went down, and then finally we were no, if we actually had a big group meeting to be are we even going to go forward with this?
Yeah, because
that's what I was wondering. Do you just
burn twice?
Right?
Burn twice.
Done.
And a lot of brands, again, not to pat ourselves on the back, it's actually more to be sad with how other people do business. But there are a lot of brands in this gray area fan art shirt thing who have had this happen, and then they just take off with everyone's money. They fold. They're well, I didn't get my product. You're not getting it. And they just shut down their Instagram.
Yeah.
Go away. And there's not much that can be done at that point.
And because for some people, some of these people, it is just as easy as they delete that Instagram and all form of communication is now gone or lost. And you don't know this person. So
yeah. But all of us, not I, all of us refused. We would much rather suffer the pain of figuring it out than not hold up to our word, right? There are things that are our fault that people were pissed about, and they should have been, that it took forever, all that kind of stuff. But the whole time we were like, we're going to stand in here, take the anger, not deflect the blame, and try to see what we can do. And it came to a point where we lost so much money to the second printer that the only way to make sure people were made whole was to find someone and succeed, because there was so much cash floating around at this point. We were underwater. So this time we actually did.
Because you still owed the customers their shirts.
Oh yeah. And it was thousands and thousands, and like it was almost 30 grand in printing costs. That means
imagine how much the shirt cost that.
50 grand. Yeah.
And some people, you know, at that point they're frustrated. They're doing chargebacks with their bank, which is then you know, making us go in the hole even more.
Tagging on fees, which I get. I probably would too. Like, I don't blame them, but also like it's this avalanche, right, of bad news and bad decisions on my part personally of who to trust and all of that kind of thing. But luckily we hit the pause for a minute. We actually sourced a industrial, like, we swore no more people getting started or buddies or fly by night, whatever. And that was the guys having a bit of a come to Jesus meeting with me and being like, hey, we can't, like, no.
Where's our 30 grand, Britton?
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
So we have found a supplier who actually now, it's honestly, they're the best supplier we've ever had, both in terms of we pay money and then get shirts, which is a novel concept, I know, but it's great. And also our shirts are custom assembled for us. Like the blanks even are cut and sewn together for our brand.
Oh, wow.
All screen printed. The turn times have gotten awesome. And so, you know, as it's grown with them, they've been able to up their production. They have legitimate processes and websites and all of that kind of good stuff. And we finally are at the point where actually this week or the first week of March, depending on when you hear this, we are doing our first ever ready to ship drops. We have finally tucked away enough profit from the last 7 months of, you know, figuring out what we're doing, where we're not doing pre-orders anymore. So we still have some pre-orders to fulfill, but now every single week when the drop happens, our next 2 weeks of drops are sitting in our inventory room over there right now, ready to go. So it took a long time to get there, much longer than we expected, but it, you know, in some ways it adds to the risk because it means we're sitting on 15, 20 grand of inventory at all times.
Yeah.
But in other ways, if we're confident in the designs, it means that we're not dealing with the risk of being 4 weeks down the road with something and not knowing what's going to happen.
Right.
Well, anyway, that was a lot of rambling, and I apologize.
No, that's really good information.
So is this new company you're working with, have they been around forever?
They have. Yes, they've been around a very long time.
Does it make you go, why didn't we find these guys in the first place?
Yeah, and it's actually...
How did we not see these guys?
Yeah, that's exactly. And Tanner's the one who tracked him down, which so much appreciation for him for. But yeah, it does. It definitely. I mean, we were talking about ADHD a minute ago. There was a moment when I actually got diagnosed where I was like, "Oh man, I'm almost 30 and finally can control like my train of thought. What could I have done if I had been able to do that in college or in high school or?"
Right.
And, you know, I actually got pretty bummed for about a week because I was like, what could have been? Yeah. And I think I learned through that, like, no, focus on, okay, it might be the second quarter, but like now your 3-pointers back in the game. Let's see what you can do. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what we've had to choose to do here is, all right, the first 17 months sucked. They sucked. Like transparently in therapy a few times a month. Like it was bad. But now our 3-pointers back in the game. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'm curious, what was the design that the guy never delivered on? The first, or both of them, both the people.
What was the final nail in the coffin for the first one? The one that we just did, was it Nintendo 64?
Yeah, it was that because we ultimately ended up getting 10.
10 out of 130.
Wow.
It was a Nintendo 64 design,
Yeah.
kind of featuring and highlighting all the best games from N64 and characters from it. And so even till to today, it's our most limited run shirt we've ever had.
Yeah, I was just fixing to say that's probably selling for some good money on eBay somewhere.
There's 10 in existence. Me and Britton have one each.
I
So,
don't anymore.
Oh, you don't?
Okay. Sadly,
So there's
do
9
not.
out there, excluding mine, floating out in the world. So yeah, that's our
crazy.
most limited design. So yeah,
Yeah.
N64 one, and then the second person was Hurt, right?
Yeah, so it was actually we didn't even mean to do this, but what's cool is our first ready to ship drop this week is actually the same design that is the one we got screwed on originally.
Oh, wow.
It's
It's the Hercules one, right?
Yeah, it's the Hercules one. So what was crazy about that is that she shipped them. And do we have any still?
No.
Do we not? We threw them away finally?
Yeah.
She shipped them and they got here and it was like, I will try to find a picture and send it to y'all just for your curiosity.
Mhm.
It was, I don't know what she thought would happen, but it's not like I'm a perfectionist being like, these aren't great. Like truly, it was the worst screen printing I've seen in my entire life. Like it was awful.
Like, had you taken a DTG, like a direct to garment, and like ironed it on, it would have been better.
Right.
Wow.
It was one of the muses' faces looked like it was melting. The like skin color was printed off to the side of the it was
Because with screen printing, you basically essentially have a screen, and every time you have a new color, it's basically
It's a
layered
new
over.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so her layers were misaligned. So you had like the outline of an eyeball not outlining an eyeball. And it was
Cheek.
Yeah.
like
it was
for real.
wild.
And so that was we got 200 of those in the mail, and I went in one of the side rooms and cried for a little bit, and then we made a video together that was telling people, we know you're pissed, we're pissed, like we know you're worried about if you're going to get your money, we're worried about it, but we promise you we'll stay in contact and you can DM at any time. Here's my email. Like, we will be accountable to this. And that's where we went. A lot of people got mad and stopped following us, and that's fine. I get it. And a lot of people stuck with us. And I'm so grateful.
Sheesh. A lot to learn.
Yeah.
A lot to learn. A lot to learn.
It was wild for sure.
Dude, after the second time, I don't think I'd be able to do.
Yeah,
That's it. Like to be able to just go, all right, let's try it again. Let's see what we can get. I was like,
well, I mean, you guys know how it is with reselling. If the revenue is what's hard to generate. If you can figure out a business that generates the revenue, I'm a firm believer that you can figure out the cost.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were in a place where we had just hit, at the time, our highest revenue month ever. We had hit, I think it was 20 grand that month. And it was like, we have something here. Like we have built something.
Yeah.
Clearly, we don't know how to execute it. We don't know how to deliver it, but there's something here. And so we let that kind of be the guide. And I took some loans in my name that weren't even company loans, that were personal loans to get it going, and went from there, man.
Man.
Putting your money where your mouth is. Yeah.
Seriously.
Luckily it worked, but it's just as likely that it wouldn't have. So like, it's no great skill or secret on our part. People have been kind, and we've tried to work as hard as we can.
Yeah. That's how you know, though. It's like you're committed. It's like,
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, this is it. This is it. Like if we fail, I fail. Yeah. Like this is putting my money where my mouth is. Like, you having your Tanner there. It's like Tanner doesn't have to second guess that Britain's all in. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like he's all in. He is going to make this work, whatever it takes. And I feel like sometimes, you know, as all of us are business owners, sometimes that's what it takes to really get, you know, we've known so many people in the reselling space that, you know, have full-time jobs and they get let go and, you know, they did reselling part-time. They're like, okay, I'm going to bet on myself 100%. If this doesn't work, this is not going to work, but I'm going to do it 100% gung-ho, and I'm never going to second guess what could have been if I didn't go 100%. So
Absolutely.
I commend you guys for that, because that's amazing.
Yeah. That's good. What a ride, man. What a ride that was like.
That's a ride. And we're just, you know, just from conversation, I can't imagine you going through that.
And I have a bad habit of I respond, and you know, you've seen it. I respond to messages within 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, that's true when people are DMing us, because I'm the one who runs the Instagram. So that's true when people are DMing us how dope we are and how awesome. That's also true when people are just DMing completely cursing me up and down. And so, like, every day for months, it was responding to dozens of messages of people being, you know, where the bleepity bleep, how dare you, yada, yada, yada.
I mean, at times it felt like people were just throwing tomatoes at us and we were just standing there taking them.
And again, like, I got it. Like, I was like, at one point in my life, I would have, like, tossed me a tomato, brother. Like, I get it. But, like, you know, tried to do everything we can. We haven't done perfect. Like, I'm sure there are still some orders that we thought we fulfilled from those days that we haven't, or when, if that's true, DM me immediately. We will get you something sent out. But, you know, try to learn from it and try to get a little better today than we were yesterday.
Amen to that.
Can do.
So, guys, we're definitely going to dive in some more of Britton and Tanner's journey. And hey, Joe's got some questions, so we'll dive into more of Britton and Tanner's journey of the shirt farm. Guys, thank you so much for coming on here. Make sure you catch the After Dark episode coming here in a couple days. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, and make sure to follow the instructions to win a free Shirt Farm all over print t-shirt.
Yes.
Britton, Tanner, anything else for the people?
Ken is disqualified from the giveaway. Other than that, thank you for having us.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Ray.
I'm Joe.
I'm Brendan.
And we will catch you guys on the flip side. See y'all, and God bless.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of This Week in Reselling. After Dark. And guys, we have a great show today. Round 2 of Britton and Tanner's journey through the shirt farm. And I know Joe had a lot of questions. Do you remember what they are, Joe? Because I have some questions.
Yes, I have some questions.
All right, you go. You go first. You go first. And guys, if you didn't catch the first episode, sorry, Joe. Yeah. Make sure to watch it, because the journey that these guys have been on,
crazy, through
getting this brand off the ground is absolutely insane. So we'll go ahead and all their stuff will be linked in the description below. And there's a giveaway. So you have to watch the last episode to know exactly what you need to do. So
except for you, Ken.
Except for Ken.
Except for Ken. Okay. So clearly, like, you guys just think of an idea for a shirt, and then you have an artist that makes that shirt then?
Yeah. So we will brainstorm. We start with brainstorming themes for the shirts. So we'll be like, we would love to, let's talk about the Pokemon one that you enjoyed. We'd love to do a Pokemon shirt. And then we try to think through how saturated is the market with that character. And so Pokemon is pretty dang saturated. Like, there are a lot of Pokemon things, especially right now. It's, you know,
it's the number one selling